A few of you have asked me to make a video on this AK556 here. For those who do not know, and those who are new here, this is a Palmetto State Armory AK556. Yes, it looks a little bit different. They added this adapter that accepts any and all AR-15 magazines, and I've mentioned that plenty of times. Now, do I have every AR-15 magazine? No, I do not, but I have a few, especially the really popular ones, but I think I've tried just about every AR-15 magazine. And the ones that I do not have here is like the Men 2s, you got the UTGs. If I'm missing any, I know I've tried them shooting with buddies and stuff like that and just put a few rounds in it to make sure it fed and the magazine held, the bolt held open and it did great. But I got 3 different magazines here and we're gonna check those out. So this is a Gen 2 PMag. I don't know if they say to run Gen 1 or Gen 3s through it, I forgot. But whenever I first got this rifle, that was kind of, I did read that on a website of them saying that you can only run a certain type of Magpul mag through it, but I had to try it, and I don't know why they said that. I'm not even sure, but it fits every single magazine, and they all run reliably. So here's your PMag. Let's go ahead and drop the bolt. Let's charge it. Held open. Let's drop it. Okay, there's that. We got a standard, I think this is a Colt magazine, 30 round mag. Held open, let's drop it. So there's a little bit of wiggle in there, but I would have to say roughly about the same as like an AR-15, give or take. Some of them fit differently, you know how that goes. And we got a Lancer right here, regular Lancer 30 round mag, which I like Lancers a lot. Let's go ahead and hold it open, by the way. So that's pretty nice too. Drop the bolt there. And then last but not least, we got a 5 round for your deer hunting or whatever you're hunting that day magazine. That fits in there a little bit small, but it does fit. There's hardly any wiggle to it. Let's go ahead and lock back the bolt. That does it great. So either way, guys, it does fit any and all AR-15 magazines. I've never had an issue running any AR-15 mag through this rifle, and I don't see why it wouldn't work. This thing has M4 feed ramps. So it really helps to ensure that reliability of this firearm. There's no felt recoil to it, and the felt recoil that you do get is so light that it comes straight back into your shoulder, so it's really easy to control this rifle. 13.7 inch barrel with the pin and weld J-Mac device. That's a 4-prong. It does pretty decently at mitigating the flash at night. I would have to say the only downside to this rifle, guys, is going to be its weight. It's a little bit on the heavier side if you compare it to a standard AKM or even an AR-15, plain Janes. This guy is going to be a little bit heavier with the dust cover off and the flashlight off and all that good stuff. It still is a tad bit heavier. It's not a deal breaker. It's still going to be lighter than your Jackal though. If you compare the Jackal to this AK556, this thing is lighter. So you got a few different ambidextrous controls on here, and that's my main thing that I really like about this gun is instead of your standard ping pong switch like you would have on an AR-15, you have this guy, you slide up and down, so whenever your bolt's held back, it goes up, and then if you want to drop the bolt, you just push down. And mind you, if you have rounds inside your magazine, that's really easy to push down. And no, that does not catch on your clothing. I've never had an issue with it catching and going in a battery on accident or whatever the case is. You also have, on this side, you have a standard magazine release. For us left-handed users, we have another ambidextrous magazine release right here, which is pretty dang sweet too. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit better insight of how this thing actually works on the inside. So right here, you have your bolt release. And then obviously if I push up on that, that's your bolt release right there. So if you insert your magazine, this guy comes up immediately. And then obviously if you're out of rounds or if you have rounds inside it, that's not going to stay up. So kind of like your standard AR-15. And then just like I mentioned earlier, you could see them feed ramps inside there. That's pretty sweet. This thing has Toolcraft logos all over it. That's kind of a big deal for me. I feel like anything that's PSA made when it comes to an AK, if it does not have Toolcraft logos, you might run into issues if you have a higher round count. That's what's happened in my case. Yours may vary, but these things seem to be really good to go. As you can see, the rails and all that have a lot of use. I have about 6,000 rounds on it. The trunnion looks great. All that stuff looks great on the inside. Let's check out the bolt and carrier real quick. All right, the bolt carrier is kind of dirty. As you guys can see, I don't really clean it all that much. So in my opinion, guys, this is like normal wear and tear. And you might see a couple little sharp marks right there, but that's the lug that rides inside the channel of the bolt carrier. So that's not a super big deal to me. This is the part that meets the trunnion. You lock in the battery right there. So that kind of locks down and you go in the battery. So that looks pretty great. There's a little sharp piece, but 6,000 rounds, that's pretty good. There's like hardly any wear. This part rides on your trigger and all that. There's another locking lug, which also looks amazing too. So number 310, this is number 310. I've had 0 issues with this rifle and it only continues to run great. You got a few different options to mount optics. You either got the side rail or you can go with like a dust cover. I know a lot of people crap on the TWS, but I really like the TWS. I've never had an issue with it holding 0. I know opinions may vary. Then you got your JMac buffer tube back here, which is pretty sweet. And then also up top, we got our Soviet Arms handguard, which I kind of like it, but I know it does bring weight to the table. But like I said, you can still handle this rifle pretty well. But let me know what you guys think about the AK556. It's a very nice rifle and it's worth it. And if you're thinking about picking one up, do it while you can. I don't know how long they're going to offer these things, just like Sestava used to make these rifles, but except Sestava rifles, they had a polymer lower piece. This one's like some sort of billet, so it seems to be very, very tough. I just don't know how long they're going to offer these rifles, you know, because they're not that popular.